The dread judgment, reading the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 31 through 40. Today's Gospel reading should be very uncomfortable for two kinds of people. First, it should bother the clergy. They know what to do and not do, what to eat and not eat, how much and how often, when to pray and which prayers to say, and in which order, which hours precede the divine liturgy and which follow. They even know precisely when and how one must make the sign of the cross, down to exactly how one must fold one's fingers and how low to bow. Yes, there are rules for this also, depending on the complicated ranking of the saint, commemorated on a given day, and several other esoteric factors. In other words, they, the clergy, are too often the people of the rules. They deal in mint and anise and cumin, and wish that the Lord would say, "Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For ye observed the rules and fulfilled the obligations." But of course, this is not what the Lord said. In fact, in today's passage, he did not say a single word about a single rule. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, he will not even ask, "Have you prayed tonight, Desdemona?" But, "Have you given drink to the thirsty? Have you visited the sick?" The clergy, the learned men of the cloth, can tell you when shrimp is allowed and whether a certain cookie is Lenten, but have many fed the hungry tonight? The second kind of person who should be worried about today's gospel reading is the person involved in charity work. This is not to say that charity is to be neglected. May it not be. But just as is the case with rules, the Lord does not appear to mention it as a criterion for inheriting the kingdom of his Father. If a person who runs a soup kitchen were to hear the words of Christ, "I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat," he would probably say, "Yes, Lord, I know. We provided over 1,000 meals each month to the least of these, thy brethren." But this is not what we see happening in the gospel. The righteous ones are genuinely surprised. "When saw we thee, and hungered, and fed thee?" A man involved in visiting the sick or volunteering with a prison ministry will not be surprised to hear that he visited the sick or the imprisoned. Quite the opposite. He will expect a "well done" and a "good job," and he will answer, "I read my Bible, Lord, and signed up to visit a nursing home." So, this gospel passage is not about such a man, even though many charities use this very passage as an inspiration for their work. But this passage is about someone else. This passage is about a man who visits the sick because they are like family. If my loved ones are sick and I visit them, I do not do this because the Bible tells me to, but because they are family. If my brother committed a crime and ended up in prison, and I go there and visit him, I do not do this because I signed up to volunteer with the prison ministry or was recently inspired by Matthew 25, but simply because he is my brother, he is family, and I certainly do not expect any reward from God for visiting a sick relative or a brother in prison. It would be truly surprising if the Lord told me that he was in prison and I visited him. No, Lord. Sadly, there must be a mistake. I just went to see my troubled brother. This gospel passage is about a man who sees other people as his brothers and sisters and ministers to them, not because it is a Christian thing to do, but because they are family. He responds to the needs of others, not because he likes them, and they are his means of inheriting the kingdom, but because we feed our children when they are hungry, and we visit our parents when they become ill. This gospel passage is about a man who sees a son or daughter in every child, a brother or sister, a father or mother in every man or woman, and ministers to them. It is this kind of man, with this kind of heart, who will go into life eternal among the righteous. It is not an accident that on this day, just 1 week before we begin obsessing over whether a certain cookie is Lenten, or what special services the Typicon prescribes, or doing good works like volunteering at a soup kitchen during Lent, the Church in her wisdom reminds us of what is most important. My son, give me thine heart. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 26.